So look at this, we're back outside. We are touching grass. That's how you know that this is a heavy subject and this is gonna be some very serious subject matter. No, I'm like half kidding. It was just a nice day out and I thought, why not come outside and record it here? Because I was just gonna yap. And why sit in front of a computer and a desk when I can just come outside and be out here in the beautiful weather? So this video is a little bit weird, but I want to talk about something I've been thinking about for a while. This is in relation to a video I did where I talked about, will you be left behind if you don't use LLMs to code? I get this question a lot, people asking me about, like, you know, Dave, I'm just getting started, or Dave, I've been in the industry for a while, like, am I gonna be left behind, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't wanna rehash that entire video, so if you want, go check it out, I'll link it below. I want to expand on that because I've really done some thinking. I have actually just sat outside and literally just thought through some of this stuff. And I really wanted to figure out, like, what exactly are my thoughts on this and how have I arrived at them? So kind of weird, just bear with me. If you've seen like the title and the thumbnail for this, you kind of maybe know where this is going, but let me just get there because I think the journey is going to be important here. When people ask me if they should use AI to code for them, my immediate reaction is no, because I enjoy coding. Not no because when I grew up there weren't LLMs or anything. Not no because like I worry about the ethical use of AI. I do worry about that, but that's not why I immediately jump to no. The reason I jump to no is because I enjoy programming. It's my hobby, it's something I do for fun. Now, okay, I'm not that dense. I understand that there are people out there that just want a job in the field. They want to work in software engineering. They want to do this stuff because it pays really well. And to them, it's just a paycheck. I totally get that. I am mixing my hobby with my job. Now, I've since quit my job and I'm unemployed and I'm taking some time off. That's a whole separate topic on its own, but that's what I get for mixing my hobby with the job. So I bring this up to say, I know there are people that just want to get their job done. They want to be efficient at their job and they don't want to lose their job. So if the industry is going the way of LLMs and coding and stuff like that, they want to make sure that they're not falling behind. Hey, makes perfect sense. But when people ask me, should I use AI to learn coding? My immediate reaction, like I said, is no. But if I really think about it, I'm like, well, is this actually a problem? Like, if you want to learn to code, should you use AI to code? Well, no, because you're not going to learn it. If you just let something else do it for you, you're not going to learn it. If you want to practice a skill, should you let something else do that skill? Like, no, you should learn it yourself, okay? If you make flashcards, I wouldn't give it to a computer to memorize. I would sit there and memorize those flashcards if that's your goal. But if your goal is to learn, that's the real question here. Because if your goal is to learn how to do something, AI can be a fantastic teacher. You talk to LLMs, and let's say they're trained ethically, right? You have ethically sourced material and they're run on completely green renewable energy. I'm using this to say that push all of the ethical arguments aside. You have this machine where you can ask it questions and it gives you pretty good answers. Sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes you need to be on it a little bit, but for the most part, this thing is infinitely patient. It talks to you like a person who cares about you and it will teach you very complex things and it can be a good teacher. So if you're wondering, like, should I use this thing to learn? Like, yeah, like that's a completely valid question. I get that. I had to really sit down and think, why are my instincts still telling me no? Because I had to really be honest with myself. I'm like, okay, am I just an old guy who, you know, grew up without LLM, so I think that people shouldn't be using it? However, I also did grow up in the era where I was told you won't always have a computer in your pocket, and they could not be more wrong when they said that. So I had to really think, like, okay, am I just old man yells at cloud, or am I actually onto something? Am I digging at something that is meaningful here? And I think that I am digging at something that's meaningful here. I think the biggest thing for me is if you are the one trying to seek knowledge, if you are the one asking the questions, that's probably okay. If AI is guiding you, and it doesn't have to be AI, it could be anything else. If anything else is guiding you and telling you what questions to ask, then I worry about it. Not that it can't steer you in the right direction, but if you ever had like a good teacher where they kind of ask leading questions, they ask you questions that literally lead you down a path because they can see what you're doing wrong. They can see what you don't understand, and they can see that you're so close to getting it, but they need to ask you certain questions to get you to ask the right question. That part's important. I'm not saying AI can't do this. What I'm saying is you asking the right question is the important part. I think you have to be the one to direct your questions for it to be useful. Once you give up that power, I think that's where I want to draw the line in the sand. Once you let something else start coming up with the questions, that's when I think it starts being at best neutral, at worst bad for you. Like, there is the part of your brain that is able to problem solve and make decisions, and that's an incredibly useful part of your brain. It's also something that needs to be practiced and honed and exercised. Like, there are people out there, like managers you may have met, or even just people that you remember, like from your people that you've just met in general. There are some people out there that are just seem like really good under pressure. They're really good at making decisive decisions, even when not all of the information is there, and it somehow kind of works out for them. That's like a skill. That's a skill you work on. It's a skill to be decisive and to make a decision when sometimes indecision seems like it's just so much easier. And it is so much easier. You pay a price for it in the end, but that's what I worry about with AI. So when it comes to like the title of this video, I think the For You page is a perfect example of what my issues are. When you go to the computer and you want to look something up, like, before computers, you want to look something up, you might have to go to an encyclopedia, but you wanted to look something up. You knew what you were looking up. You knew what you cared about learning, and you could get jumped around there, but you knew what you were trying to do. I think you being the one in control of that is what matters here, because then, the computer comes around, we have the internet. I can still know what I want to look up. I can know what I want to Google. I can know what I want to go to Wikipedia and look up. I am the one in charge of that. I am the one driving that decision. There's a couple small things we allowed in, like, okay, maybe sometimes I mistype words and then it fixes it for me, autocorrect. Okay, I still kind of knew roughly what I wanted. But then at a certain point, we're like, okay, well, how do I do this? Like, to talk about the programming example, how do I do this for loop? And it's like, okay, well, that's how you do a for loop, but did you actually want a for loop? Do you want a while loop? You're still in like the learning process. I still think that's okay, even if you get the answer to something which really wasn't the thing you wanted to do. My concern is when the AI starts guiding you, and this is kind of related to a bunch of the Google search news where Google was talking about how they want to go AI first with search, and I worry about that because it starts coming up with the questions that like you could ask. So the last part of my decision making, using myself as an example here, like if I was a person going on the internet here, the last part of my decision making, the last thing that I had was my ability to direct my questions and figure out exactly what I wanted to do. That's gone. And once that's gone, I really worry about that, because now the algorithms are just telling me what questions I should be asking. Directing my own thought towards a goal is like, I think it's important. I think it's something important that your brain can do, and it's something that, helps ultimately create identity, but I don't want to get too philosophical in this video, and I just don't know what happens when you give that up. Now, if we were to stop being philosophical, get pragmatic about it, okay, these AIs are owned by large companies and they're suddenly the ones telling me what questions I should be asking. I know it might sound a little conspiratorial, but like, if I'm not the one figuring out like, oh, hey, what should I actually look up here? And it's like, hey, have you considered looking this up? Have you considered looking this up? Have you considered looking this up, the thing that someone paid us money to advertise? Have you considered looking this up, the thing that hides some, atrocious thing that some foreign government is doing? That's problemsome. That's worrisome, man. That's scary. I don't know what road this leads down, but it doesn't look good to me. So there was a lot I threw at you there, but there's like the pragmatic thing of these ARs that are controlled by large companies, and I don't know how much oversight there is, but there's the more philosophical thing that I'm personally interested in, which is like your brain and fundamentally who you are and your decision making and your ability to direct your brain and your thoughts to do specific things almost feels uniquely human. And even if it's not uniquely human, even if something else can do it, it's still the thing that makes you human and is good for your brain. It's like the thing we've like been evolved to do is like problem solve, use our brains, and create solutions for amazing things. To bring it all back, you got the For You page, and I'm no longer deciding what to look up. I'm no longer even really following people. I'm just letting the rectangle in my hand tell me, hey, here's what you want to look at. And if I don't like it, I just hit refresh, and I just keep refreshing until I get something I want to look at. Now, I've played slot machines before. Feels a lot like that. Is that a good thing? Probably not. Probably shouldn't feel like gambling when I'm just trying to get information. But in that situation, am I trying to get information? Sounds like I'm trying to be entertained. Sounds like there's some entertainment black hole in my brain that I'm trying to fill when I do that. And so here's the ultimate point. The For You page like that, I worry about because you're not the one directing what you are seeing. The same thing goes with like LLMs. Like, should you use an AI to learn? It still rubs me the wrong way. There's still something unique about it that I just don't like, but the part I was able to nail down is that I really don't think you should be letting it guide your questions. You should be the one asking the questions, and it just answers those questions. It can point you in the right direction. Maybe it can try and cite sources. We could talk about, can an LLM actually effectively cite sources, because there's some like weirdness around that. That's not me throwing shade at AI and LLMs. I know you guys know that I might appear to have like a negative tinge toward. I promise I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying like I don't actually know, and certain models kind of just make up their sources, so I'm worried about that. Either way, weird video. I don't know what to do about it. The only thing I can tell you is like, how do we change this from a societal standpoint? I have no idea. But from a personal standpoint, that's really all you can do. You can just change yourself on an individual level, and if everyone does it, then society has to follow. But on an individual level, I think don't give up that part of you that directs questions. It's the part of you that is in control of things, the part of you that decides what you want to look up. When you get your phone should be a tool. When you get your computer, it should be a tool. You should be the one telling it to do what to do. This is why I like programming. You tell the computer what to do. Now, sometimes it's frustrating because the computer does exactly what you tell it to do, and you find out like that wasn't exactly what you want to do, and that's how you find fun bugs. You're like, why isn't the computer doing what I want? It's like, well, it is doing what you told it to do, and that might not be what you want to do, so that's your problem. But I think that we have to remember that our phone, it's LLMs, the computers, they need to be in service to us. Like, we have to come first here. Human being, our brain has to come first. So we have to be the one to direct the questions. Even if it's hard to come up with what to ask next, that is worth it, because that's how you build knowledge. That's how you learn to do things, and that's how you keep your brain from atrophying and not just being fed slop on your phone. I don't even use slop derogatorily towards AI. You can just get, there was slop well before AI, okay? If you're not paying attention, you're just scroll maxing, like, you are gonna get slop just coming across your page. So yeah, these are my thoughts on that. Like I said, I think you could distill this whole video down into, I think it's the For You page. And then you could even be reductionist and say, you know, it's the phone. People have been saying it forever, like it's the damn phone. So, you know, I don't even think people are wrong there, but I think one of the biggest issues that just we need to talk more about is it's the For You page. Like, I know there are people on both sides when it comes to AI. There are people that absolutely hate it and think it's the worst thing ever. There are people that absolutely love it. And it's hard to find someone who's in software engineering, like I am, who doesn't absolutely hate it with all fiber of my being. But at the same time, I don't love it, and I'm extremely skeptical of it. So I had to look beyond that and be like, you know, maybe it's the fact that we're no longer directing what we control and what we consume, really. Like, I'm not picking what to consume, I'm letting it be fed to me. And that, I think, is the fundamental issue. I'll have to think more on this. I'll have to learn more about it. I'm curious to see what you guys say in the comments, because this is just something, I don't know, I've been thinking about for a while. And yeah, thankfully I quit my job so I can just sit around and think about things. Truly am a philosopher now. Nah, well, that's all I got. Thank you for watching, guys. Super weird video. As always, want to give a quick shout out. Check it out. Look at this. My Patreon. Thank you so much, everyone who has signed up for Patreon. If you want your name at the end of one of my videos, go ahead and sign up for my Patreon. And yeah, so that's all I got. Let me know how you guys like this video. If you guys like me yapping out in the woods like this, I kind of enjoy it. Or if you're like, Dave, get your fingers back on the keyboard, we want to see you program. Don't worry, I'll be doing that too. So yeah, of course, thank you for watching, guys. That's all I got. See ya. Guys, editing Dave here. It's like 3 in the morning, and I just want to give a shout out to Jordan that signed up for my Patreon. I had no idea that you could put ANSI escape codes into your name in Patreon, but apparently that's allowed. So shout out for the colorful name there. That was incredible. Darkspace originally did it with the 0-bit spaces. Now Jordan's given the color output. This is hilarious. I don't even want to filter out the names on Patreon. I think it's kind of awesome that you guys can just break stuff like this. So I think I'm just going to leave it because I kind of love it. Dude, shout outs. That's awesome.